Welcome to Series 30, everyone. Holy cats, that's 90 regular series episodes. It's been a fantastic journey to get here, but I won't celebrate too much right now because Amelia is currently on the road as I record this cold open, which means you are stuck with me for the next minute or so. First things first, a huge congrats goes out to the folks over at Asians Represent for their Ennie Gold win for Best Podcast. This is so very well deserved, and if you haven't gone to listen to that show, I absolutely recommend doing so. We're still doing 1 to 2 week breaks between series, which has been so good for our mental well-being. So that should give you time to sneak in a few episodes of their show after catching up with ours, of course. Another congrats goes out to Amelia as well, who has been chosen as a judge for next year's Ennies. I know she's both excited and nervous for this opportunity, but I think she'll do great. Also, a big congrats goes out to all the other folks who won big over this last weekend. I don't think I have anything else to say during this cold open. I know things are still waving arms wildly in life right now, and we are both very thankful that you've stuck with us through all of this. I hope that you are staying well, and if you want to let us know how you feel about this podcast, feel free to head on over to Apple Podcasts, Podchaser, or any other podcast review site and leave us a rating and review. All 5-star reviews really help us out and help others to find our podcast, and I know it gives us some really great feels, especially during these tough times. And it's free to do, which is also great. But I digress. With all of that out of the way, join us on this quest to cover Quest with Kyle and Russ from Prism Pals, and enjoy the show.
Welcome to Character Creation Cast, a show where we discuss and create characters, the best part of role-playing games, with guests using their favorite systems. I'm one of your hosts, Amelia, and this episode, my co-host Ryan and I are excited to welcome Kyle Allen and Russ Wilde from the Prism Pals podcast to discuss Quest, a fantasy role-playing game by the Adventure Guild.
Welcome to Character Creation Cast, both of you. We're really excited you could join us.
Thanks for having us.
Happy to be here.
Awesome. Let's go ahead and start by introducing both of you to our audience. Kyle, can you tell us a bit about yourself and where people can find you online, any projects that you're currently involved in, all that sort of fun stuff?
Well, we are from the Prism Pals podcast, which is an all LGBTQ plus queer, family-friendly, all ages podcast, actual play, all those good things. I just listed off the same thing 5 times. That's fine. My name is Kyle. I am on Twitter at super_, no underscore anymore. Super Queero. I got the underscore removed finally. Big contention there. Long story. We don't need to go into that. Super Queero. And I just released my first game on my new itch.io. I do stuff with Off the Table, the stream and podcast network. So I'm all over the place. But mostly Prism Pals, where my life is beholden to.
And Russ, what about you?
I'm Russ. I use they, them pronouns. You can find me on Twitter at RussWildest. I am the guide for the Prism Pals podcast, which is at Prism Pals on Twitter. Since Kyle forgot that.
I'm sorry.
Way to go, Kyle.
I know.
I also am sometimes on Off the Table on Fridays, and I'm also on Utopia, a BIMPOC run and community-led streaming channel. Yeah, you can also hop on our Prism Pals Twitch, where me and one of our other players play Cat Quest.
Ooh.
Quest 2. Good times.
Awesome. All right, well, let's go ahead and get into this, and we will start by discussing what this game is all about.
What's in a game?
All right. Can you go ahead and tell us a bit about what is Quest? What's the setting of Quest?
So, Quest has a very, very basic setting that the game comes with, which is, hey, there are multiple planes, it's easy to travel between them, all sort of wacky things happen in them. There's your plane, the shadow plane, the weird magic plane, and then one other that I can't remember. But very much the setting is very details light for what the book gives you. It really does lead to you building your own worlds, your own settings, your own towns, that kind of thing. It's very much just here's a basic framework so you understand how the powers work kind of thing. Go ahead and have fun. There you go.
Nice. Good old fantasy sandbox.
What sorts of things do we need to play this game?
Quest is a single D20 system, so all you need is one D20. So if you play Magic the Gathering, you're set. And you can buy the core rulebook, which is really all you need to do it online. You can get the PDF version, or you can get the physical copy. There's also a nicer physical copy, which is real pretty. There's all types of other things that are supplemental that you don't really need to play the game. All you really need is one die and the book. Everything else is you can get cards. There's decks of monster cards and item cards you can play with, but most of it's just in the one game, in one book.
Although I will say that if you get the PDF version of it, it comes with the deck and the monster cards as PDF versions of it. Oh. So if you wanted to, you could cut them out, print them, that kind of thing, and make your own cards at home. It's just that the versions that Quest you can buy, they're so pretty.
Yeah.
I'm such a sucker for stuff like that. I'm I don't need it, but I just really want it. I
was reading those, and they're tarot-sized cards, which is just phenomenal. And I saw the box of the core cards just looks huge, and if they're tarot-sized cards, that's extra huge. And I want it, but it's all sold out.
It's massive.
Until October.
It's massive.
Look at that thing.
Oh,
wow.
It's a big boy.
Yeah.
I say as I hold it up, it is larger than my head.
Yeah.
It is.
That's amazing.
And I have a big head.
Yeah. Awesome.
Excuse the noise as I put it away again. Back where it belongs.
Go back to where you came from.
Back into the Quest
shrine. It's a very, very simple game when it comes to what you need. Like Kyle said, just a die, the core rulebook, and some friends. But of course, you can play it by yourself if you really wanted to.
Who needs
you could also play with your enemies if you wanted.
You could play with your enemies.
Ooh.
I will solve my problems through Quest duels.
Time to do.
That's
I've heard
amazing.
worse solutions.
Don't spoil my next upcoming module, the Yu-Gi-Oh module.
Well, what kind of stories and themes is this game meant to explore then?
Traditional fantasy, basically.
Yeah. So the way that the book is currently set up is definitely meant to explore traditional fantasy themes. Similar sort of vein to the game we don't mention. But some of the things that it has, it very much comes from a different place than other fantasy games do.
Well, I'm going to read the intro, because that's what really sets the tone. Because when you first open the book, the very first thing you read is a little paragraph that says, "Welcome, friend. This is a special place, a retreat from your worries and obligations. Now, close your eyes, take a deep breath, and open your mind. Ready? Let's begin." And that's how the game starts.
And that tone is prevalent throughout the whole game, which is just phenomenal to see.
And so if you read through the book, it's very much a very familiar tone that the book talks with you in, but it's not a talking down to you tone. It's the book talks to you like a friend.
Yeah.
Very soft, very caring. instead of like, here are the rules, roll these dice.
Yeah, it's
you
really
want to know how to
interesting.
climb? Here's the math you need to do.
When I was reading through this, I was like, this is like the cozy, familiar hug of RPGs, which is really interesting to see.
And like, so right now it's set up for fantasy games, but I do know that the creator is planning on making sci-fi expansions for the game system and creating other sort of expansions to kind of allow people to play different games with the Quest sort of RPG system as a basis.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Ooh, I'm excited.
What do characters do in this game?
A better question, what do you want your character to do in this system?
Right? It's a very broad question. And it depends on the game, I should say. Some games are very specific about what you're supposed to do. But
True.
So in Quest, you're really set up to do a lot of things. Like, there's a lot of interaction-based moves for, like, abilities if you're, like, dealing with other people. There's stuff for dealing with enemies you're fighting. There's stuff for dealing with the environment. It's really set up for you to just solve a bunch of problems, but even if you don't have an ability that solves a problem, you can still roll for it. Like, the system is very open on how you interpret the rules. So truly the limit of what it sets up a person or a party to do depends on the party themselves, what they think up, what they come up with, the sort of solutions that they determine. It's really up to the individuals and the type of story that's happening. For example, I've used Quest for an IPM game that we were doing, and one of the things that happened was that the players got a magic fairy wand that none of them knew how to use. So every time they tried to use it, I had them roll for it. And wacky things happen depending on how they roll. So, like, it all just depends on the game and how your players and you as the guide approach the situation.
I will be the one to mention the game that will not be mentioned. So, what TC Sottek, the creator of Quest, I've read a few of his interviews, and he talks about when he went to go make Quest, he had only ever played Dungeons and Dragons before, and he had looked at it and thought that it was a bit too much for what he wanted, and decided that he wanted to essentially make a very similar game, like to do the traditional fantasy setting in just a simpler way and in just a different way. And so when he was creating it, he took a step back and like away from like the indie market, so he didn't want to get influenced in all these things, and just made his own thing by himself. So the only real inspiration that I know of, I'm not TC, I can't really say, is of D&D and that Tolkien fantasy. It just removes all the bad stuff. So it is anything you would do in one of those games, in one of those stories, in one of those books, you can do through Quest.
That's amazing. It's basically D&D without the bad stuff, like you said. which there is a lot. So yeah, it's really interesting looking through this and seeing a lot of familiar things, but also like fairly unique sort of things that I haven't really thought of in like the fantasy genre role-playing games before, which was really cool to see. Which kind of leads right into the next question. What is unique about Quest?
Okay, so this I have a perfect answer to, because this is one of the things that drew me to this game when I was first looking at it. Okay, I'm going to scroll down and go look at the character creation things. So with character creation, you have like different like skill paths and the moves and stuff like that. And there's a few that are really odd that like if you're reading it, you're like, this is fun. And then you think about it, you're like, oh, that's what that is. So I'm going to go look at, there's one move in particular. There's a couple that are like a little different, but the one in particular that is like the most zany and wild is from the doctor role. There is a move in the, which one is it?
Diagnose.
Is it in healing? No. Which tree is that? Examination. The examination path called Diagnose. And it reads, I'm going to read it to you. So, you touch a creature, extending your senses to diagnose a mysterious affliction, like a disease, spell, or curse. You must correctly guess the entire name of the affliction. If your guess is wrong, the spell fails and you must spend one adventure point to try again. The guide will give you blanks to fill in that show how many words are in the name, and how many letters are in each word. You may start by guessing letters that appear in the name. If you guess a letter correctly, the guide will reveal everywhere that letter appears in the name. If you guess incorrectly 6 times, the spell fails. Wow. You're playing Hangman with your guide.
What?
You're playing Hangman as a mechanic in this game.
That's amazing.
What in the heck?
There's another example of this with the fighter. The very first thing in the fighter book is dueling, and the last ability of that entire tree is called duel. Basically, you fight a creature in single-hand combat, and if you have the deck, you take the 4 cards for the previous abilities you've gotten, and you play Find the Queen with your DM. You shuffle the cards around, you hold up a card so you can see it, and the guide has to guess what that card is. If they're wrong, you activate that ability for free, and then you continue on.
Wow.
And it just, like, the game makes little mini games within itself that is so interesting and, like, set up so uniquely that I haven't seen in other games before.
Yeah, that's really wild.
There are plenty of other, like, unique things in this. Those two were, like, the ones that, like, because when I look at a game, the first thing I do is I go to the character creation process. I look at that and see what that's like, just see if I like it. And those were what really jumped out at me at first. But, like, when you get into, like, the mechanics of the game and how, like, you actually play, like, the ranges of, like, the distances, that's what it's called. The distances, there's, instead of, like, doing math and, like, this is 60 feet or 30 feet and all this stuff, it is either in reach, nearby, in range, or too far. And that's all you have to do. There's no movement. There's no, like, distances. It's just the basics of, you can move a little closer. It's a little too far.
Another thing to mention, there's no money in the system. As in, like, money exists in your world. It's just assumed that your players have enough money to buy food, to stay at an inn, to do, like, regular things. But if they want to buy something special or do something super special, they normally have to trade something, or they have to do a favor for someone. Mm-hmm. And it allows for more of a bartering system in the game. And the other thing is, you only have 12 pieces of equipment. That's it.
Yeah, I did notice that on the character sheet, that, like, there's the spots and it's, like, very clear. Like, you get these ones.
This is all you get.
And it's not set up in a sense of, like, haha, we're limiting you. It's set up in a sense of, like, just put what's important.
Yeah.
You don't need to put that you have a 50-foot hempen rope, 3 torches, 1 crowbar, 50 caltrops. Just put what's important. If you ask the guide, hey, do I have this? The guide more often than not will say yes.
But what about encumbrance rules?
Oh no, I want to know how slowly I move when I hold 2 more pounds than I normally can.
I want this to be like Fallout, where I have to get rid of something or I can't run.
Listen, I just play tested something my friends making and they're doing that, and I was like, I love you, but please no.
Please if you would like to continue being friends, this is gonna go.
This is my note for you for the playtest.
Although I do like me a crunchy game sometimes, but maybe not as an RPG. In a
like,
tabletop
not everything's
sense.
for everyone, you know?
It's very true. But yeah, there's a lot of good, unique things about this that I didn't glean from just going over the rules, quickly.
There's so much.
Yeah, there is a lot in this game, but it's like so simple in terms of how it presents itself.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, cool.
Let's talk a little bit about the history of this game. Where did it come from? That kind of thing.
This thing was kickstarted. I know that. I don't know much about this part. I see your notes and I'm like reading those and I'm like, oh yeah, that's right.
This is the Amelia and Ryan look up this thing on Wikipedia.
Although you can't because it's called Quest.
It's too new.
It's the SEO on this is it got to be nightmarish because
It is nightmarish.
I mean, you can look up Quest RPG and get to it. You can look up the Adventure Guild, which is also kind of a generic name if you think about it. But with the
You should have
popularity,
called us first. We would
I
have
will
had some hot
say-
tips.
Quest has the best website, which is adventure.game.
it's amazing.
It's just that URL. I'm just like, wow.
How simple.
Dang.
It
Brilliant.
reflects
How
it's
simple.
very like reflective of the game itself. Simple, gets to the point, and it tells you what you're doing.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. So it was released in 2019 by the Adventure Guild LLC, and it recently kind of gained a resurgence in the spotlight because of all the stuff going on at the unnamed giant RPG in the industry.
Cal's already named it.
I
Yeah,
know.
that's what Voldemort
And also, we've done an episode on it, and we talk about it all the time.
I mean,
so,
that's very true.
You know.
Yeah. So recently, within the last, month or so, there's been a large uproar on Twitter because of various bad practices that Wizards of the Coast has been employing at their company, and also the problematic content of D&D, traditional and otherwise, that is just kind of just not good to have in a modern RPG.
Unnecessary and grotesque.
Yeah, so a lot of people were looking for an alternative to telling these fantasy stories, and Quest seemed to be kind of the front runner at that point.
And so recent stuff that's happened is that with everyone jumping to Quest very quickly, a lot of the community started to question, hey, why are we jumping to another monolith when the creator has talked kind of about how he wants this to be an Instagrammable game, he wants it to be a pretty game, that kind of thing. And I believe it was last week or the week before, the creator of the game released a creator's license, creator's
I
guide,
did see that, yeah.
basically saying, hey, create whatever you want, charge however much you want. All you have to do is let people know. You have to attribute it. That's it. Just be like, hey, this is based off of Quest.
Yeah.
Which, when you consider what D&D has done with practices like DM's Guild and that kind of thing, and how they work, they say, hey, you can use our name, but we own your work.
Yeah.
Which is a very predatory practice. And I know some people are fine with it, but me personally, I've always felt a bit squidgy about that, especially for the fact that they can take down. So this happened with the Eat the Rich anthology. They made their anthology, they posted it on DM's Guild, and DM's Guild took it down. And the people who made it were like, hey, can we post it somewhere else? And DM's Guild said, no, it's ours now. It's not going anywhere else.
Oh, wow.
Because once you've uploaded it, it doesn't belong to you anymore.
Oh.
Yeah, I've seen a few instances of that with DM's Guild.
It's been happening a lot lately.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this is a full Creative Commons license, attribution 4.0, whatever. And the only thing is you need to attribute it, and you can't do word for word direct translations. I think that's the only limitations on it, which is really cool to see.
They do say, if you want to translate it to another language, contact us and we'll talk to you.
Yeah, it sounds like, hey, if you're willing to do the work, we're willing to probably pay you for that, which is really amazing to see, especially, in this day and age with the RPG industry. I really like the direction that this is going.
When we
and I really like anything too that encourages artists and creators to charge for the work that they're doing, because you put in time, you put in effort, you deserve to make money for those things,
So one of the things in the book that I believe is towards the beginning of the book,
the toss a coin.
Yes, is the toss a coin. It's a section in the book that says, hey, we don't really care how you got this, we don't really care why you have it, but if you liked it, feel free to buy it off our website. It's not like, hey, if you have this illegally, we're going to hunt you down.
Right.
Like some other companies act like. But it's very much like, hey, it's that same familiar tone of it's okay. we understand times are rough, times are hard, but if you can, toss us a coin.
Yeah. It's fantastic. Like, what does it say here? Games like Quest are meant to be shared with friends, and we're very glad you're here.
Mm-hmm.
It's so interesting to have this like super familiar, like welcoming tone in this throughout, and having that right there in the first couple pages is just phenomenal.
When Prism Pals was first talking about making the switch to Quest for our show, I reached out to TC directly just to like touch base and just see, just talk to him as a person, be like, hey, we're gonna be playing your game, and immediately he was like just as amicable in like the book. He's very like friendly and was very open and like happy to see that we were using the game and encouraging of it. Mm-hmm. And he was like, I can't really do anything for you because we're still small, but like it's really nice to see you doing this, and I really hope to grow together through it. And it was really nice to see that. We
switched back in May, right?
Mm-hmm. We were one of the first ones to switch to Quest, like publicly. It was us and Off the Table, the two things that we're both tied to directly.
Yes. Well, because we switched when everyone found out that Mike Merles was still working at Wizards. When that big reveal dropped that, hey, guess what? He's actually been working on the RPG this entire time. We just haven't been telling you all.
And we just don't really care.
Yeah, they don't.
So that's when we initially jumped over, and we were lucky. We like got there just in time to be like, hey, TC, hello, this is what we're doing. Hi. And then everyone else showed up, and then I'm assuming his inbox just blew up.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure.
Because he legitimately on Twitter has been like, there's so much going on, I need like a hot minute, please.
It's really interesting, like the trajectory that Quest has had, because like you said, it was only released in 2019, but that was like the Kickstarter. It was kickstarted at 2019 around this time too. Mm-hmm. I actually just like was like searching it in my email. I like found the notification from Kickstarter saying this new game is up, you should back it. I'm like, oh, that's funny. But yeah, they kickstarted in 2019, and it didn't actually release like publicly until 2020 February. So like a month before quarantine hit. And it's like no one heard of it. No one was talking about it really. And then as soon as the D&D stuff happened, everyone was talking about it.
Yeah.
So like that climb was wild to me.
Oh, I can imagine. Do you know by chance, just out of curiosity, how well the Kickstarter did?
I don't. I can look it up real quick.
I assume it funded.
Yeah.
Since we have the game.
Quest, the role-playing game, Kickstarter. The original goal was 65,000. What they reached was 153,000.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah, that's nice. Very cool.
We love Kickstarter.
Oh, God.
Especially now that they've allowed their unions.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Bless unions.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's basically the history of Quest. And now here we are, and we've got that creative license for anybody to just go do stuff with. I am extraordinarily tempted to create a Magical Girls Quest game.
We
always need more Magical Girl games.
I know.
A friend we've played with made glitter hearts, and we're just like, yes, more Magical Girls, let's go.
Yep. If I wasn't already working on Chimera, I would probably go and create a Magical Girls for this one. If only.
I've already seen people releasing roles. I've already seen people releasing like mini modules, that kind of thing. And it's been like a week and a half, and I'm like, wow, everybody's so creative, and I'm tired.
I mean, that's fair. I could just do a role, and that would work. Wow. Okay, I got things to think about, but I'll table that for later. All right. Before we get into the actual character creation, there are some basic terms and concepts that I'd love to go over. And I only found 3 things that were maybe even worth talking about. Maybe 4. So I saw success bands. That might be a little difficult for some people to grok right away. Can you talk a little bit about what the success bands mean in this game?
It's very reminiscent of Powered by the Apocalypse games. So if you've played Powered by the Apocalypse games and you're familiar with the 10 plus full hit, the 7 and 9 partial hit, and the below 7 no hit, it's very similar. It's just slightly different in a 1 to 20 scale. So in the game, whenever you roll for something, which they do specify, if like your role is like the doctor and like none of your things really pertain to what you're doing, but it's like a doctor type thing, you don't have to roll for it. It's just you roll for the things where if you don't know, it doesn't make sense for your character to know what it's doing. So you make the roll. There's no modifiers to the roll. There's no stats in this game. You just make the roll, and whatever the die says on 1 to 20 is what you do, and you consult the 5-tiered the bands. That's what it's called, bands. So at the top is the Triumph, which is a 20, a natural 20. This is an exciting moment. You automatically succeed at what you're trying to do, and you may even find added fortune. If you're dealing damage, double it. So that's like whatever you're doing, you hit it and you did the extra bit too. The success band is 11 to 19. You accomplish what you were trying to do without any compromises. If you're dealing damage, deal the standard amount. So that's just like, you did it. Congratulations. 6 to 10 is the tough choice. You succeed in your action, but there's a cost. The guide will give you a choice between 2 setbacks.
That's beautiful.
Then there's the 2 to 5, which is just failure. You fail your intended action and face a setback of the guide's choice. So with the tough choice, you get to choose between 2. With the failure, the guide implements 1 on you. You might lose equipment, take damage from an enemy counterattack, or face some other misfortune. And the final one is catastrophe, which is a natural 1. Oh no, you automatically fail, and you may suffer a severe setback. I just realized that it literally says oh no, which feels so on brand.
It's when you roll the nat 1 and you go, oh no. So one of the things with the success bands that's very important to realize is that with this game, you should only be rolling for things when there's a chance of failure. It doesn't make sense to roll for like a bunch of things, and like perception checks don't really exist in this game, which you might have from other games, just because there's no real way to, as a guide, give a setback for certain things. So like, having someone open a door, if it's not trapped, why are they rolling for it? That kind of thing. So one of the things that I've seen from some games that I've witnessed is people will ask for a roll and then realize, oh, I need to give a setback. I don't know what to give you as a setback here. So like, figuring that out, especially if you're transitioning from other games, can be difficult. Especially if you're transitioning from games that don't have that sort of kind of failure mechanic, the success bands, it's more difficult to get a hang of. But it doesn't have to be like end of the world kind of setback. For one of the games I ran, the character tried to hop on the back of a giant swan, and the swan had never been ridden before, so I had them roll, and they rolled a tough choice. As you know, they rolled a full failure, and so the swan went to bite them, and instead of biting them, broke the reins and then flew away. So, like, it wasn't the end of the world. They could still get where they needed to get, but it just got a little harder. So that's like one of the important things with the system, especially when you're guiding and trying to help people roll for things and calling for things.
That's awesome. I really like how it's kind of a blend of traditional D20 and PBTA right in there.
Yeah.
All right. So hit points. A lot of people are probably familiar with the concept of hit points, that your health pool, et cetera, but this game handles them slightly differently from what I've kind of gleaned looking through the rules a little bit. Can we talk about hit points a little bit?
You got 10.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's
no
it.
No more, no less.
You never.
Well, you can have less.
You never grow in hit points. That's wild.
Russ Wilde.
Yes. So if you've read, I've read the creation license, the creator's license thing. One of the things that it talks about with hit points is there's a reason that they never go up. The reason that they never go up is because you never want to create a slog fest, which is what a lot of higher level D&D turns into. It turns into a who can lose the most hit points the fastest, rather than a interesting sort of story you tell. So one of the things that he says in the creator's guide is, hey, don't give abilities that increase the hit points, because you never really hit super hard. And you never really get hit super hard. It's not how the system is working. It's not, numbers aren't above like 10 in most cases. The only time you really get above that is if you have a super powerful boss. Like endgame boss might have like 40 hit points, and that's the max hit points they have, and like that kind of thing. But it's one of those things where you look at it, and hey, hopefully you know how to subtract from 10. The math isn't too hard there.
That's pretty cool. Is there anything, you said there's ways that you might be able to have less hit points aside from just damage?
Yes. So there is a legendary ability for the Invoker. Legendary abilities are basically abilities that summarize your role.
Like a capstone or a prestige.
And so the Invoker has an ability called Resurrection, I believe, which what it does is you can resurrect other PCs or NPCs who have died, but you lose 2 hit points.
Oh, wow.
Permanently.
Oof.
That's a cost.
Once you lose all of your hit points, you become a Wraith, which is another legendary ability. And you basically gain that legendary ability permanently, and you are stuck in that form.
Wow. So the caster is losing the hit points permanently.
Yes.
The person that they revive comes back probably 10 health and all that fun stuff.
Actually, I think it's called Sacrifice.
Sacrifice, yes. I was just about to say that.
That's really cool.
I read it recently.
That's really cool. I like that. Interesting. And is there any way to go above 10 hit points with like temporary health or any sort of like items or equipment or anything like that?
That's how shielding works in this game. So like there's no armor class or anything like that. There's no like cap to meet. It's shielding is just like buffer points basically.
Oh, cool. So it just seems like it's pretty basic all throughout. I like that. Interesting. Okay, I have a lot of questions, but let's move on to adventure points.
So adventure points are basically your points that you use to do things, like your special abilities that you have. Some of your abilities have points to activate or points to activate more powerful versions of them, that kind of thing. You start the game with 10. When you first start playing, you start with 10. At the end of every session, you gain 5. But during a session, because you'll probably be burning them through them pretty quickly, you gain them for like solving puzzles, figuring out riddles, meeting new characters, gaining new allies, that kind of thing. It's really up to the guide's discretion. One of the ways that we're now using adventure points is as like a spending system of like, hey, I want to do something extra with someone else that isn't described in our abilities, and I'll be like, hey, okay, spend a few more adventure points and you can do it. We used to do this in D&D when we were playing it, and we used inspiration for that because I like to give inspiration out like candy, because if you really don't want that bad roll, go for it. Use your inspiration. So it's a really simple system. Start out with 10, get 5 at the end of the session.
Very nice. So I heard you mention, and it's breaking my brain a little bit, this game doesn't have stats.
Nope.
No stats. No ability scores. Nothing.
Yeah. So everybody's on equal playing field throughout. Which
the only thing that really like dictates your character is the role and the path you choose. Everything else is, and also your character profile.
And to probably a lesser extent, equipment that you have, stuff like that. Very cool. I like that. Okay. Well, is there any other concepts or terms that we might need to know going into character creation that I might have missed?
So there's like a few big things. There's roles. Roles are basically this game's version of classes. Learning paths, which are the specific sort of paths within a role. Not really subclasses, but kind of.
They almost look like kind of skill tree.
Yes.
Like skill trees. Yes.
It's the closest thing in a TTRPG you'll get to a skill tree.
Yeah.
And then there are abilities, which are the items on a skill tree. That's basically it, as far as I know. Kyle, anything?
I think we've covered everything.
Yeah,
That's
right.
basically it.
Very cool. Well, we'll get into all of that more in depth. Are we ready to make some people?
Let's do it.
Let's make some people.
Let's make some people.
I'm super excited for this.
Yeah, me too. Oh my
I
gosh.
love this character sheet.
Character sheet is beautiful. Art's beautiful. It's all so good.
The form, there's a form fillable one character sheet that you get with the game. There's one that's like the character profile, and there's one that's a worksheet, and there's one that's like both of them combined in a form fillable format. Okay. The form fillable one, I actually just emailed TC before we started because I forgot to email him a while ago, because the form fillable one as it is has some issues with it. With when you actually fill it out, like 4 of the boxes might be connected, and it might try to say, I wear armor, and it says I wear armor, and move with armor. I'm from armor. And you can't fix it. Oh. And then like the HP and the AP sections can't fill in. So like I emailed him, I was like, hey, we fixed it on our end, but like, can you fix this please?
Yeah.
Just for the website and for people who want to play the game.
Yeah, exactly.
Because another member of Prism Pals, Mariam, they had to go in and like on Adobe and just fix it so we could use them.
Mm-hmm. All right, so I do have the character sheets here as well. I don't think they are form fillable though, but this is why it's literally just a paragraph.
Yes. So how the game sets up for players is that you make a character profile and then you present it to the group as you start the game, like when you first sit down to play. One of the things that the guide does is they make a world profile, talking about where you're starting, where you're going, what the world is like, that kind of thing. I know this is a podcast more focused on character creation.
Oh no, we love world building.
So
that tone did not convince me at all.
No, we really love world building.
Collaborative world building is probably second, very closely, if not first in some cases, to character creation. Yeah.
And
okay, I'm actually going to print this world profile.
It's basically
beautiful.
The world profile is the guide's version of a character profile, because the world is a character too, in a sense. It responds, it reacts, it exists. So it's meant to be starting with like the starting area where everyone starts and then scope outwards. You don't need to know every single little detail about your world. It's more about like where the players are now, what they're doing now, that kind of thing. So, character creation. Let's discuss that for a second.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yes, host Russ.
Host Russ. I'm the host.
Someone has to keep us on track.
I have shown up. I'm taking over the podcast. So you have your 8 roles, which I will try and read if I can find the page with the 8 roles.
Page 22.
It's on page 22.
Thank you. Fighter, Invoker, Ranger, Naturalist, Doctor, Spy, Magician, and Wizard are the 8 roles that come with Quest. One of the things that Quest talks about is that, hey, you can pick one role and stick with it. But there are other ways to play the game. Like, everybody could be dual rolled. You pick 2 roles and build out that way. Or, screw the roles, pick whatever abilities you want. And it's really set up so you can do that however you want it to do and still have a very balanced character, but very versatile. So you can go into multiple different areas. So when you're creating a starting character, what you do is you pick 6 abilities total. If you're going with a single roll thing, then you pick 6 abilities from your roll, like fighter, that kind of thing. Dual roll kind of thing. And like you said before, these are skill trees. So you have to take the first ability before you can get the second ability on a path. So you need to pick them in order down the path, but you can pick from multiple paths.
Or you could just start out the gate with an entire skill path all picked. There's no prerequisites. You can just start off and be like, I have this entire path, thank you.
Yes. You could be like, I have all of the abilities from the dual path and 2 abilities from one other path.
Wow. So the most diverse you could be at the beginning is 6 different classes with the beginning ability on one of their paths.
Yep.
Yeah.
Each role has, I think, about 5 paths.
Give or take.
With like 3 to 5 abilities, depending on the path.
Goodness.
All right, Ryan, what are you thinking?
Oh, Lord. There's so many good ones. The one that I personally, if I was going to sit down and play this game in a campaign, the one that kind of stood out to me as the most of me would be the Invoker. So I don't want to do that one.
Okay, because I was kind of thinking maybe I would do that one. Now, I want to clarify that I did see that under Doctor there is Necromancer.
Yeah.
I'm going to rein myself in and for once in my life not make a Necromancer.
Wow.
Why would you do that?
Because I think I have like the last like 2 or 3 series.
Yep.
So
I don't see a problem.
I'm gonna not do that. I'm gonna try
Amelia
really hard.
can have a little necromancy as a treat.
A little necromancy.
As a
Look,
treat.
okay, no, but like last time it was, to be fair, entirely on accident.
That's very true. It was
all up to that heritage table roll.
accidental
so
necromancy is
it's still
perfectly
necromancy.
okay.
How do you become an accidental necromancer? I feel like there are extra steps there.
Yeah, so I rolled on a table that was like, oh, actually, you know blood magic.
Oh.
So,
By the way,
How Avatar of you.
actually, you were maybe dabbling in blood magic.
yeah.
So,
Powerful random tables you have.
yeah.
I
So
love
I'm
a
gonna-
good random table.
Oh my gosh, I love them so much. We did, we did a panel at a catacon this year where we took random tables from a bunch of different games and we had our audience roll on tables and then we made characters based on what we got off of these rolls. And they were a mess. They
were all mutant animals. Somehow we kept
They
on
were
rolling
all-
on the mutant animal tables from Palladium.
Yeah, they were all mutant animals. They did all wear hats. Yeah.
Amazing.
There was radioactive spaghetti.
Oh yeah, there was
remember that.
radioactive spaghetti
Yeah.
warehouses.
And a law firm.
Yep. It was very cyberpunk and very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think I'm going to do Invoker.
Oh, fun. Okay, I'm still thinking. So, Kyle, Russ, what are you thinking about?
I'm going to do spy. I want to make an assassin.
Nice.
All
Damn
right.
it, Kyle.
Language, Russ.
Darn it, Kyle. Why would you do this to me?
Hey, you can both make spies.
No, you can't.
No,
Go away,
oh,
Russ.
okay.
Stay away from me.
Okay.
I'm the only spy here.
So then, since I wanted to be spy, because my issue is that I always pick druid, and there's like 2 druid classes here. Like ranger and naturalist are both druid and ranger, kind of like mixed in between the 2 of them.
All right.
And I always take that. So instead, I'm gonna go doctor, because I
Ooh.
never play a cleric.
Doctor, give me the name.
Okay, so we got an invoker, a doctor, a spy. The magician seemed kind of interesting to me because of the word psychic in there, because I love me some psionics. But it looks like it's like illusionary magic and parlor tricks and stuff like that. And that, not,
I feel like you want to go naturalist.
you think?
I don't know. I just feel like
You know
that's
what?
you.
You know what? Yeah, let's do it. I'm gonna go naturalist because I like flowers and druids are cool.
The magician has the scariest skill tree, the learning path to me, called mannequins. It terrifies me, but also sounds great.
Oh my.
Yup.
Okay. What? Okay. I mean, you're talking about mannequins and spooky stuff like that. Maybe I do want to go.
Also, the R for the magician is just top notch.
Oh, that's fantastic. Multiple arms.
Yep.
A fake face with glasses. That's pretty cool. Oh, mannequins. Come on. Clairvoyance, conjuration, mind control, mayhem. I know. I don't know why I'm taking so long on picking a class.
That's another thing with...
it's a big choice.
With the magician, they do mind control, but it's not like mind control in games that you're used to, where it's kind of icky and gross. This mind control is very much doesn't cross that line of into not things we want to talk about.
You know what? I wanna create a pew pew sort of person. So I'm gonna go wizard.
All right.
Pew pew.
Pew pew. Magical pew pew. All right, cool. So I am a wizard.
You're a wizard, Ryan.
You're a wizard, Ryan. So that would be I'm the party's wizard, right?
Yep.
Cool. So what's next?
Number 2. Enter the scene.
Ooh. So it looks like we're playing Mad Libs at this point.
Yeah. Essentially.
So this theme of games within games seems to be pretty prevalent even in character creation.
Yeah.
I like it.
Because like the one thing that the character profile does not have is a place to put your abilities, which I think is because there's a deck that you can get. If I'm wrong, Russ, am I wrong?
I mean, that's the core deck I was showing earlier. The one
Okay,
was huge.
yeah. The core deck, you would have tarot cards, all of your abilities in it. Which is, but so like your character profile has nothing to do with your abilities. It's just your role is all that really matters when you're introducing yourself. So it's not like I have this ability and this ability and that ability.
So what you're supposed to do with the deck is you take the decks and everyone takes their cards from it and then they have it in front of them. So they have their abilities easily listed in front of them.
Okay.
Very easy to reference.
Nice.
And you go, oh, I should have 6 cards. There are 6 cards in front of me. Great.
That's pretty cool.
Not, did I forget to level up this session? Where, what am I supposed to have? How many spells? Did I get new spells yet?
So instead,
Do I remember what those spells do?
So after taking a roll, you choose your roll, and the next thing at the end of the scene, like Amelia said, you fill out the next sentence, which is, when people see me, they first notice my blank, blank, and blank. And you fill those 3 lines in with something about your body, something about your face, and then your vibe.
I love that you're basically creating your own fantasy race here if you want. Because
there's no races.
Because Head of Tentacles is
an option
for your body.
And these are all just suggestions. You can make up whatever you want.
God, that is such an evocative head of...
There's also vestigial tail and webbed fins.
Yeah.
Like, there's a whole bunch.
I'm super into iridescent skin.
Ooh.
I'm picking that.
I'm going stout stature.
All right.
I just made my own.
I'm going...
good for you, Kyle.
Yeah. Someone
So
is an
creative.
overachiever.
I just decided to go full chaos and just like make something that doesn't like exist in a stereotypical fantasy world. So my body is made of mist.
Ooh. Good
You
for a
mean
spy.
an air genasi?
No, I'm literally mist.
You mean Strahd?
No, Russ. Missed.
Yeah, like somebody's wanting them near because they missed them.
If you want me to hug you, you get moist.
I hate that. I hate that so much.
Do you, though?
Why would you speak that into this world?
So for face, I chose off the list this time.
Kyle, the voice of reason.
Romantic eyes? Body of mist, romantic eyes.
Ooh.
I thought they worked well together. Like, ooh, I'll seduce you from afar, my mistly presence.
The third option that they give you on the chart in the book is vibe, which love those.
Yeah, there's a lot of good things in there.
Yes. So in total, for my body, I have stout stature. For my face, I have the antenna. And for my vibe, I have androgynous vibes.
Ooh.
Oh, that's actually on the list, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. I saw that and went, yes.
I don't know if I want manicured fuzz on my face or time-worn face.
I will say about vestigial antenna, it doesn't tell you where the antenna are on your face. So,
That's true.
surprise, surprise, everybody. Let's find out.
Antenna beard.
Doesn't say how many either, Kyle.
Vestigial is not useful, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You could be Davy Jones from Pirates of the Caribbean.
You know what? I've already got
Full octopus
I've
head.
already got tentacles. I've got a head of tentacles for my body, which I don't know how that works. I'll go with antennas. My vestigial
Your body is a
antenna.
head of tentacles.
My body is a head
You're
of
just a
tentacles.
floating head.
Am I just all tentacles?
With antenna,
with
you're
antennas that are
you're a
like
blob of appendages. That's all you are.
My little tiny tentacle antenna.
I like to think that you have like one that's hidden inside your tentacles. Your antenna's like hidden by the tentacles.
Oh wow.
It's whether they're like vestigial though, because like I would love it if they just like popped out.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And
I went with a severe jawline and a captivating grin.
ooh,
Ooh, we love a severe draw line.
I'm gonna go with gentle.
Amelia making an actual person while the rest of us are making
Look,
visceral monsters.
I went
do
with
you.
okay. When people see me, they first notice my head of tentacles, vestigial antenna, and gentle disposition.
Oh, it's a
that's such a
soft,
Ryan choice.
a soft appendage monster.
Yeah.
I did. When people see me, they first notice my body of mist, romantic eyes, and an air of mystery.
Ooh.
It's like,
Mystery.
why are you mist?
And your air. An air of mystery.
No.
Big brain move. Big brain.
No.
But I got cute eyes.
Oh my gosh, the puns.
Oh my god.
I love it.
Thank you for joining us for part 1 of this character creation series. We'll be back in part 2, picking up right where we left off.
Character Creation Cast is a production of the One Shot Podcast Network and can be found online at www.charactercreationcast.com. Head to the website to get more information on our hosts, this show, and even our press kit. Character Creation Cast can also be found on Twitter at CreationCast or on our Discord server at discord.charactercreationcast.com. I'm one of your hosts, Ryan Bolter, and I can be found on Twitter at Lord Neptune or online at lordneptune.com. Our other host, Amelia Antrim, can be found on Twitter at Ginger Reckoning. Music for this episode is used with a Creative Commons license or with permission from the podcast they originated from. Further information can be found within the show notes. Our main theme music is Hero Remix by Steve Combs and is used with a Creative Commons license. This podcast is owned by us under Creative Commons. This episode was edited by Ryan Bolter. Further information for the game systems used and today's guests can be found in the show notes. If you'd like to leave us a rating or review, we have links to various review platforms out there, including Apple Podcasts, in our show notes. Also, check the show notes for links to our other projects. Thanks for joining us, and remember, we find that the best part of any role-playing game is character creation. So go out there and create some amazing people. We will see you next time.
Now we gotta read some show blurbs.
Show blurbs.
Show blurbs.
Show blurbs.
Show blurbs.
Character Creation Cast is hosted by the One Shot Podcast Network. If you enjoyed our show, visit oneshotpodcast.com, where you'll find other great shows like A Woman with Hollow Eyes.
A Woman with Hollow Eyes is a podcast adaptation of One Shot's live-streamed dramatic Invisible Sun actual play. Discover a world of magic, secrets, and supernatural civic disputes in our unique take on Saturnine. In the first season, James D'Amato, Kat Cool, and SNL writer Alan Linick are led on a mind-bending adventure by GM Darcy Ross. Even if you already saw the streams, you want to listen to this podcast for the incredible soundtrack, composed and edited by Will Levendahl, Get it by searching for A Woman with Hollow Eyes or Darcy Ross on iTunes, Google Play, or your favorite podcast app.